Hey team, I just wanted to send a quick video. Wanted to quickly discuss um, something that we're all challenged with, right? A lot of times we meet with the client, everything seems to be going well, and once we get to the finish line, we end up not coming in first place. So I've been doing some studying and how we could better align with the companies that we're assigned to grow. So if you see from my screen here, what this topic is about is eliminating group dysfunction and driving consensus across the enterprise. Now, this is something that our leadership has shared with us many times, understanding the buyer process and how that has changed throughout the time. In the past, you would be able to meet with one or two stakeholders and be able to get a buy-in on the solution. Now, as technology has evolved and information is readily available, what CEBE has discovered is that it takes an average of 5.4 stakeholders to be able to um, make a decision. Now, that's something that we all been told, right? So that's not nothing new. So what I did is I started to look into it and really what that 5.4 really means, right? So I also correlated to the project that we're working with on Walmart for the smartphone and really understand, okay, if I take that 5.4, who's involved on the project in ensuring that this is successful and at the same time that they align with T-Mobile as a provider. So from a high level perspective, you can see on the screen, there is the associate digital experience that needs to be involved, central operations, human resource, marketing, finance, information. And then once that, all those stakeholders are aligned, then it needs to be approved by the senior leadership. So the BYOD project that we're working with on Walmart, it's going to take more than 5.4 stakeholders that need to align, right? So now, nothing new so far, but this is where the finding really gets interesting. And let me go to the next slide. Did I go to the next slide? Yep, there it is. Okay, so uh, decisions involve, as I mentioned, 5.4 that are involved, but let's dive into those numbers and what that really means to us as a salespeople and how we could better align, again, to eliminate group dysfunction and drive consensus across the enterprise. So why is that so important that we understand that 5.4 and how that plays an integral role in us being able to get buy-in from our clients? If you look at my screen here, you could see that the bigger the group, the fewer the purchases. Why is that? Well, the reason for that is that as we are working with these various stakeholders, they have competing initiatives, right? So as you can see here from the screen, it talks about that in order for us to really make an impact in these companies, we have to get in before the time of the solution. So there's three areas of interest whenever you're dealing with a new client. Number one, the client's always looking to internally. They try to define where the problem lies within the organization, right? So that's an area sometimes we're not even involved in being able to solve. So what happens is the group they're trying to get group consensuses. Where does the problem internally lie within the organization? The next step is once they align, then they're looking to justify and identify what is the solution. So at that point, they're still working internally, trying to say, okay, how do we solve this? And they're doing a lot of research, and that's where we've been taught that 57% of customers are 57% into the buying cycle before they actually involve a sales rep. So where can we as sales reps make an impact? Number one, understanding the business, right? And that's what I harp, on all of our calls, ensuring that we are aligning with the business, understanding their initiatives. Why? Because that puts us in a position to be able to compete and get into the opportunity before the customer hits that 57% mark, which is typically when they bring in a supplier, a vendor, whatever you want to call us, right? We want to be the partners. So now, what's interesting is that our typically what we do is we spend a lot of time in presenting our solution and why T-Mobile is better than the competition. But what the study has discovered is that out of the three areas that you see here on the screen, problem definition, solutions identification, and supplier selection, the supplier selection um, is the area where there is the majority of the consensus within the organization. Where there's a lot of dysfunction is in solution identification. So what can we do to influence that decision and give us a better opportunity to win the deal? So let me move on to the next screen here. Now, this is really, really interesting. Um, if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, it says, functional groups are 40% more likely to purchase a more ambitious offering. Okay, so what happens is that if you look at the diagram here on the screen, you could see that let's say mental model number A, that's one group, we'll just call it central operations, and then mental model B, that could be human resources, and then mental C could be information technology. So what happens is that typically we align with one group, not taking into consideration the rest of the stakeholders that need to be in consensus of that solution. So the key here is to be where what they call, the magic spot is aligning our solution to ensure that there's consensus across the various stakeholders, so that we don't necessarily get focused on one particular part of our solution, but ensuring that whenever we're doing our presentation, that we're involving the entire scope of who's involved in the project. Hopefully this gives you some insight. Exciting information. It's definitely giving me a different perspective on what we need to do as a team, as an organization, to ensure that we are putting ourselves in the best position to be able to win the majority of the deals that are on the table. That, again, sometimes we get involved in what the book calls, or CBE called, RFP station, and typically once we get to the RFP station, we're dealing with price, right? So it's important, again, that we understand our customers, we align with them, and that we make the biggest impact on the front end by, number one, understanding the business initiatives, number two, aligning our solution in consensus across the entire stakeholders that are involved, and then number three, that will lead us to winning more business. Okay, that's it. Hope everybody's doing well. Just a quick video, exciting information. Any questions? Reach out to me. Have a productive day. Take care. Bye.